Oh,
So right now it's live on YouTube, and if you guys want to share it on Facebook, go on ahead.
all right. How do I share it on Facebook?
We're hot too, by the way, just to let you know. Um,
Everyone knows that I don't know what I'm doing. Okay, good.
let's see.
Shoot. Well, we ready?
Yeah,
We're live?
we're live.
All right. Don't we usually have like Naki's sweet beats behind that? Sweet beats. Digging in the crates. What's up, guys?
What's going
What's up?
on?
What's up? What's up?
Man, we haven't been here in a minute.
Yeah.
Nah, how have
Seems
you
like
guys been?
every time we jump on, someone dies. So shout
Oh
out
my god.
quickly, right?
That is actually true.
Yeah. Well, I mean, no matter what, every time we jump on, someone dies. We just don't necessarily know.
So
But
we got
yeah, man. Rest in peace, Bismarcky. Yeah, man. Where are my cards? I have my cards up too.
you have Bismarck. Oh, that's right on the those little cards we have.
Yeah,
Oh
he's in
yeah.
there.
I was talking about this earlier on the radio, and Naki can attest to this, Michael. Is as a DJ, what we would have to do, especially with Just a Friend, the song Just a Friend,
Mm-hmm.
as a DJ, you had to always roll with two pieces of vinyl. So this
Mm.
is how we roll: two pieces of vinyl in the sleeve because it came out with LP version on one side, instrumental on the other, because it has that cold uh, intro. You had to do the beats. You had to use the instrumental to get into the song because, or else you just slammed it. You just slammed that mix in.
That might
But
be
shout
one
out
you
to
could
Biz,
slam in, right?
man. Yeah.
You just cut to you.
Classic slam.
But I got, you know what, man? I got a an opportunity on Friday night while I was DJing to put Just a Friend on, and the
Mm.
whole club was vibing, and they everyone was singing the song. And you think about it, when did the song come out? 1989, right?
Yeah, I think it was 88 or 89, one of them. Yeah.
These
Maybe
kids,
89.
the kids who were dancing weren't even born yet. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? They weren't even born yet, but they sang every word to the whole song, and that's just a testament. It's a testament to good music, right? To me, a hit is a hit is a hit. So shout out to Biz, man. That song is a hit forever.
Yeah.
Never.
And a lot of people, I mean, I knew this. I think we covered this maybe it maybe a few episodes ago where um Big Daddy Kane actually wrote for Biz Markie. He wrote the Vapors. He wrote a lot of those songs because Biz Markie put him on and took him on tour. And so he was the catalyst to help Big Daddy Kane get a record deal.
Yeah, I actually saw Big Daddy Kane on his IG. He gave one of those heartfelt condolences and shout out to Biz for putting him on. And man, you could just tell, man, that dude was just broken up
Mm.
about losing Biz Marquis. And, you know,
Yeah, it was I mean the 15 days 2 weeks ago when they first released it and everyone thought, he had passed. I mean, it was tough, man, because you know, I'm thinking about a lot of, the other founding fathers of hip hop, that passed on, from, ecstasy, gift of gab, all these different
Yeah.
cats, in their 50s. And, it was just like, it's sad because they don't really get the credit, man, that they so deserved, seeing what the music business of hip hop has evolved into. They don't get the credit, and I hate that.
Well, I tell you, know what's crazy, Naki, is I was seeing some of these, these new up and coming artists, and just listening to them talk, and you're thinking like they owe it to the founding fathers. Somehow they owe it to them, but I
Yeah.
don't think they see it that way. They because I'm trying to remember which artist this was. It was like a contemporary, a big artist that said they had never listened to Tupac before.
Yeah, I think I saw that. It was one of those
It's one of
one
the
of those little guys, little somebody.
But he was dead. So he goes, I just listened to a Tupac record recently. I'd never listened to him before. And yeah, his lyrics are kind of cool. I was like, huh?
Wow.
But he wasn't like he did, and
He meant
wasn't
it. Yeah, he was being
disrespectful, but
sincere, right?
he didn't mean it in a disrespectful
Yeah.
way. Their go-tos are like the Lil Waynes and stuff like that. So and us, I mean, Naki and I, we go way back to like the Cold Crush Brothers and
That's
and
right.
Master Flash and the Fury.
The funky 4+1, man. Let's go.
Treacherous Three. We go way back. So, you look at something like that, and then you think about the '90s hip hop guys. They kind of played homage to those guys, but not really either. Not really either. They weren't like, oh, I'm going to put this guy on my back and bring him as a feature. And so you got to imagine you got 2-3 generations of hip hop like separating the new kids now. They have no clue. There's no history book, right? There's no one has written a history book about hip hop to say, okay, the first DJ to scratch a record was Cool Herc or something.
Right.
I don't even know if they would care. I don't even know if they would care about that because it doesn't impact them anyways,
I think it's enough information available if you research or
Yeah.
you want to know about your craft, where it came from. I'm sure it's enough information out there, but what I was told, I would say in the Lil Jon and the East Side Boys era, like the 2005, 2007, up in that time,
Mhm.
that we was entering the era where they called it microwave music. And you know the difference between microwave chicken and baked chicken. You already know the difference. One take longer to cook, but it's delicious when it's done. The one that's come out fast, yeah, you may get you may get to eat it, but it might not be as good as the baked stuff. So when they ushered into that microwave era, they just totally forgot about what was built the last 15, 20 years that made hip hop to what it was at that particular time.
Yeah.
Sean
I
Paul
don't think
just
I really don't think there's any going back. I don't think that I think our expectations are way out of pocket for these young kids who are doing the music now because
Yeah.
that they're not taking from the 80s hip hop. They're not even taking from the 90s hip hop doing what they do now. They're taking from each other. They're not even going back far enough, right? They're not going back far enough. I mean, the T-Pain rant is the best rant I've seen on the internet in years. It was so on point, and but the only people who like that rant are us old heads. We're the only ones who like that rant.
Because I mean, we understand where he's coming from, and not only that, you got to look at some of the. I mean, the proof is in the pudding, man. Look at some of the stations that used to be on top when hip hop was Jay-Z, Nas, all these different stations used to be on top. If you look at those same stations now, it's terrible because a lot of people don't like the music. And it's not necessarily every rapper that's out is bad. Don't get me wrong. I like Lil Baby. I like Travis Scott. It's a few other ones.
Oh, you're an old head. Those guys are old. They're an old head. There's new guy.
Lil Baby, he's new. He's like the GOAT of this era, I believe.
Well, he's teamed up with 50 Cent, right?
He actually did a record with Kanye.
Mhm.
He did a record with Kirk Franklin that was on the Space Jam 2 soundtrack. That's amazing. I mean, this kid is like, I mean, he's really, really, doing what he need to do to solidify himself as not just a microwave artist or,
A fad.
he's bridging the gap. I mean, like I said, I had an instance where if a little baby record would come on in a car, my wife would turn it. Like, just couldn't stomach it. But when I played the record with Kirk Franklin, she loves gospel. She said that's one record that I would definitely listen to by Lil Baby. So he's getting those fans on that opposite side that would never take a chance on him.
It's kind of crazy how music's coming out too, though. Some of these guys, their production comes after their fame. Like Migos,
Yeah.
those guys
Yep.
sounded terrible, like horrible when they were popular. But once they got popular, their sound changed.
They got better.
And their lyrics changed for the better, for the way better, so that everybody can understand them, everybody can relate to them. And then they just opened up their network. But man, I mean, I couldn't stand them when, I couldn't listen to them like the way you're saying.
But that's what maturity does. You get so tired of your peers beating on you or beating you up, saying, do this, do that, you sound this, you sound that. Not that you're supposed to care about what other people think, but when it's a peer, someone that you idolized or looked up to or even heard about that made noise in the industry, and they're constantly like saying, step your game up, get your lyrics right, get your flow right. And they did that. So, I commend them for making that change and trying to make music better. Because they're the examples.
Yeah.
As of now, no one is gonna say, a new rapper coming up, he's not gonna say, I'm a pattern my sound after Jay-Z. He's going after the Migos, he's going after Lil Baby or whoever else is considered, Young Thug is considered one of the ones that they look up to. Rowdy Rich got a lot of his sound from Young Thug. He stated that before. Young Thug got a lot of his style and sound from Lil Wayne. So, it goes on that way.
And it was Lil Yachty said that Biggie and Pac were overrated 5 years ago. He said that.
I mean, he said some stuff, and that little Xan guy said he dissed him too. But just recently, I think I was watching
somebody said something else,
Hot Box or something. Mike Tyson, and he had one of the rappers on there, and he didn't say it. Mike Tyson's a huge Tupac fan, so he didn't say it in a disrespectful way. He said it like, "Yeah, I just heard Tupac for the first time, and I thought about it. My natural instinct is to get mad and go, oh man, like, oh, he's lying or this and that. But I thought about it. I said, he really hasn't put on a Tupac record. It wouldn't resonate with him right now. If he put a Tupac record on, he'd listen to it and go, yeah, it's all right. Right. Cause that's not what he's into. He's not into, he's like, yeah, man, that Tupac record, it's all right. And we sit here and our minds would get blown. I think, Naki, you and I were in the studio one time on 3rd Street, and that mom, remember, she brought her 13-year-old son in there, and she said something like, do you like Tupac or something like that? And he was like, nah, I don't even listen to Tupac. And I remember just like losing my mind. Like, I said, you raised this kid this way? She's
right.
Like,
we want to strangle the little guy. Like, what are you talking about, man?
But then you put it in context. I take if I take my emotions out of it, I go, yeah, because my son, my 16-year-old son, his go-to is not Tupac. Like Lil Baby's his go-to, and those artists are like the ones that like he gets turned up, and he knows what he knows, like the excitement when those songs come on with all of his friends and the girls, and they're all jumping up and down and like slam dancing into each other and stuff. You put on a Tupac song like at one of their dances or anything, The kids are like, man, all right, man, all right. They're not going eight, they're not going crazy.
My
So
thing has always been you don't have to like a lot of the artists from the past, but know the history. You know what I'm saying? Just know the history, know where this came from, because it's like if you don't, you're doing yourself a disservice by not knowing the history of what you're doing.
you're saying an artist. That's what an artist should do.
Yes, an artist, new artist.
New artist. Yeah. Uh, I would have agreed with you yesterday had we not just started this conversation. No, I'm serious. I would have agreed with you 100% yesterday. But the more I keep thinking about this, why? If they're getting paid right now to do the same junk, the same mumbo jumbo as the next artist, and they're getting paid. These young guys, and they're about to really get paid because they're gonna start being able to tour again. They're gonna be able to go on these tours,
They're touring now. Yeah, they're back.
right? So they're gonna be making more money than those previous artists ever made on a tour, a 1 year tour. Those guys will have and pocket more money than any of their the forefathers of hip hop ever did. And the thing that motivates these kids, these new artists now, is not history, it's money. That's the only thing that motivates
Yeah,
them.
I agree. I agree. But with today's industry, the turnover rate is so high. So at the
Mhm.
end of the day, the more you know, the more you grow. You know what I'm saying? If you constantly keep doing the same stuff, let's just say, you haven't learned anything about growth or even about the history of what you're doing. I mean, when Lil Baby first came out, you think his first choice was to do a song with Kirk Franklin? I don't think so. you know, but as he evolved in the industry and knew how, if he did this record, how it would impact his career going forward, bringing him a whole new audience, it made sense for him.
I think you're right. I think that, but that comes with growth. I think
Yes.
as a young artist jumping in right now, like if I was to get in, I'm 16, 17 years old, and I want to be famous, and I want to have, my music heard by the masses. I'm not looking to the past to like get a history lesson. I'm looking at what's happening on now. Like what's going on now. Can I blend? Can I get into this right now?
Yeah.
I can flow because there's no trick to the flow of hip hop right now. Everyone
Today,
flows,
yeah.
everyone raps the same. There's no trick. The
Uh-huh.
trick is to get a hook, right? Is to get that little 20-second TikTok hook. That's the trick for music now. So I think that we've allowed it to be dumbed down to this point. But I
Who
think
is we?
I don't know about that. I mean,
Hey, we.
if that's what the new generations
Mike,
want, then
AKA,
that's where the industry or the culture is gonna go. That's not us three consciously letting it happen. Like, that's not how art
I,
flows, you know.
right. I think it all goes back to the microwave versus baked. Everything's become faster. Everything's become um
Well, everything's more
instant.
accessible.
Accessibility, yes,
We could
all
each
that
cut an
has happened.
album today from these three little studios that we have at our house.
Yeah. And then just imagine this, how back, when we used to have to stand in line to purchase a CD or go pick vinyl or this and that.
Nope.
Now, as you just listen to the albums on your phone, it's just, now I love that technology has evolved. I'm not the type of person who will be stuck on how things are. Because if it can make things better, yes, let's do that. But at the end of the day, it's like these kids, man, this is their choice, but I feel like they didn't have the proper guidance to do it in a better way where they would know the history.
And they didn't
They
need
just
it.
dive right in.
They didn't need it. They had the tools, you know, on hand in on their laptops,
That's true.
and then they could pump it out there. I mean, did you put the Spotify thing up the other day, Naki? Was that you, about how many songs are put every day? 60 thousand, was it? So it's almost
No,
one
that wasn't
per.
me, but I think somebody put it up.
So I think one per second song gets uploaded as music on Spotify.
every day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because it's the content, man. It's like people ears are they get tired quickly now because it's so much music to digest. I mean, Pop Smoke just released the album, a new album. I haven't had a chance to listen to it, but I'm gonna listen to it. Vince Staples released the album. I can't get around. I'm still stuck on Tyler Creator's album, which I think is the best album of the year right now until Kanye drops on the 24th to see what he
Yeah, it's
does.
coming, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so but as it stands, I'm just stuck on Tyler Creator right now. I'm gonna move on to the other guys and give them a chance. But for right now, it's Tyler and it's J. Cole to me that has the best rap albums of 2021. That's my opinion.
That's what my son. That's what Dallas told me. He's like, yeah, Tyler Creator's new album is the
It's
best.
amazing. It's
Best album.
amazing.
I'm like, really? Should I listen to some of it?
Listen to it. I promise you that it's no skips. It's like it's all the way through, man, and the transitions of the beats and the content is just it's. I mean, he's so underrated, but I mean,
He's a
this
Grammy
is
Award winner. I don't know how underrated he is.
well, you still you still don't get respect from peers,
That's,
but at the end of the day, I think he really did it on this one.
Yeah, I
I'll,
think what he's got so far came with the fame more than his own
well, you know what?
industry's recognition.
To me, it's like the guy put in a lot of work. I remember taking Dallas to his first concert. It was a Tyler the Creator concert there at the Warfield in San Francisco, and I never heard of the kid, like never. And my son was just like all about Odd Future. He wore all the clothing, watched the TV shows and all this stuff. So and I go, okay, man, I know the Warfield, I know the area. We just kind of cruise up there and jump in line. So I get up there and I go, man, that line goes all the way to the end of the corner. Oh, well. So I get to the end of the corner. I'm about to pop in. And they're like, hey, man, line's back there. I look, the line went around the corner, all the way up to the end of the other corner and around the other corner. I went, hey, Dallas, we're going to have to see if I know somebody at the front door, man.
Haven't stood in the line and
Man, I couldn't believe it. And I'm like, how do they know? How do they know about this concert? It wasn't promoted on radio. It wasn't like in like trade mag. How do these kids know? And that was when I first like go, okay, this whole social media thing, I'm light years behind what's happening out there, and I got to learn this thing fast. But I didn't learn it.
What year do you think that was?
He was 14. He's 21 now. 7 years ago. What is that?
It's like 2014.
2014, 2013, maybe.
Instagram was still getting rolling, but there wasn't even probably like decent heavy
I mean,
video
Our
at that
Future
time.
was like a deep, dope group. I mean, they had Frank Ocean in there, man. They had like
Earl Sweatshirt, all these other
yeah, they got all these guys in there that like kind of like a
collective. It was like
a Wu-Tang-ish type clique, and they produced some good music. It was pretty good. I mean, I was definitely intrigued by what they were doing, and now seeing how everybody broke off and did solo projects that developed into something good. It's like that was kind of like a precursor to what the younger generation could do if they did their research.
Well, remember they had their own television show on Adult Swim. They had that clothing line that just went bananas. All the kids were wearing that clothing. I mean, you got to give it up to them and give it up to Tyler the Creator, man. The guy had a great vision and still does, obviously.
Still does.
And then I remember he also wanted to go to that Logic show, and I didn't really.
Oh yeah.
I didn't really know too much about Logic, and you were telling me, Naki, you're like, man, this Logic kid is like legit. I'm like, what? And to that concert, I was like, oh, damn! Like
it was crazy. This guy, and just to see Billy, like, what? Like, I was like, I told you, man. This dude. I mean, he, at the time, he had the song out about suicide prevention, and and things like that. To me, he kind of reminded me of evangelist, like with Joel Osteen of rap, or preaching, But he had a real good message behind his records,
non-denominational rap.
right? And he had a real strong following because that place was packed.
Packed. He had
Was
people coming
that
up.
the Bill Graham, or was I went with you in Dallas to something at the Bill Graham? Do you remember what it was?
It was probably one of the cool thing though that I appreciate about Dallas's ear is he does pick up on those kinds of artists where he doesn't like really fall into the commercial side of things. Naki, like that's why I was like, I didn't know who those artists were, but somehow my 14-year-old, and he started when he was 12 to 14-year-old son was finding these new artists on YouTube or wherever they were finding it at that time, and then just embracing it. So I was like, well, hey, keep telling me so I don't feel too old here. Tell me.
keep it coming.
Yeah, that's how a lot of them got discovered. SoundCloud was kind of like the catalyst for that. Then you got YouTube. Yeah, so even like when you talk about Flowers, like Soldier Boy, I mean, despite hate him or love him, he did a lot of stuff before everybody.
Yeah.
And it's good to see a lot of people giving him his credit, saying for a lot of stuff, using the internet to your advantage to sell records. And it's a lot of stuff that he was doing. That whole Kiss Me Through the Phone, that was something that before they had the FaceTime, thing with the phones. He was actually one of the people that was like kind of like pushing for that. So it's good to see that he's getting his credit, even though he had to go take it. but he's getting it though.
Well, my thing is, so because you, me, anybody can produce a hit out of our homes, what's the need for record labels? For major record labels, what's the need for them?
Well, they have marketing dollars.
Yeah, you could pay to get the name out, right?
And they have access to radio. They can
interviews,
get you with that extra promotion. So I think there will always be a need for them, because if you think about it, as an artist, you want to do your record and you want to tour. You don't want to be stuck in the office doing graphics or doing the publishing information. So they pretty much, it's a small need for them unless you have a team that can do those things, but the marketing dollars, man, that's the main thing. They can get those records into places that you probably can't as an indie.
I can see that. But I think that starts to diminish after more and more guys do it independently, because you've got that independent label out of San Francisco, Empire, and they've seemed to have like figured out the matrix of the big record companies where they're able to give independent artists their opportunity to make the real money in music. It seems like they've kind of figured that out. I just think that more artists are going to be able to crack that nut, where the need like a record label is going to have to sort of reinvent themselves, right? What they're bringing to the table versus you had to bring everything to the table before to get a record deal. Now the record company needs to come to you and say, well, we can provide X, Y, and Z. Let's do this together versus let's take all your money.
See, here's what record labels are doing, and they're being called out for it because a lot of the average consumers don't know what this is. They're doing this thing where it's called industry plants. What they do is they put an artist out and they will kind of fake like they're grassroots and they're struggling and they're hitting the ma and pop diners, trying to get their music out.
I'm in all day.
And that's not the case. There's one artist, her name is, her.
Oh yeah, of course.
They consider her an industry plant because she had a record deal since she was 15. And it didn't work. she could play instruments. She was on Good Morning America. She even had her real name is
Him.
no, it's what's her real name is she went by her real name. What I forget her real name.
Gabriella
Gabby Wilson. I think that was her real name.
Sarmiento Wilson.
And it didn't work. So what she did was she had this alias where she created this whole new image, this her artist girl, and they put out the records on SoundCloud, and they grassroots the whole project has made people think that, hey, this girl independent. We only rock with the indie artists. You know how it is. Yeah. And then once she caught on, she got rid of the Gabby Wilson thing and was full-fledged her. But a lot of bloggers and tastemakers are calling people out on that because they even look at Chance the Rapper and say, he's an industry plant. Because, he had some dealings with Universal and some dealings with Spotify. And, he had some stuff that he had lined up while he was doing the struggle route, if you will. But that's what they're doing to kind of keep their ear to the streets by putting these industry plants out.
That's interesting.
It's crazy.
It's all, it's all kind of a hustle too on the back end of things. I just think that music is in that phase right now. It's very disposable, right? You have artists that are, never in the history of radio or music did you have an artist that could have 3 songs on the radio at once, right? You couldn't do it. There was more than a handful of artists that were on popular radio. You had, 20, 30 different artists with singles on radio, where now it really feels like the movie industry where they do sequels, they do or redos of movies. Reboot wants to take the chance on a new sound or a new artist. It seems like to me, right? They don't really want to put their reputation out there and break a new record. Go, this is a different sound. This sounds totally different than every other song on my radio station. I'm going to play it. I just, or they don't even get it in their hands. I don't think. It's strange to me. It's strange.
It's a lot of there's a lot of greasing going on. It's a lot of
more of a machine too, right? Like,
it's a and the thing about it that's funny, it's like it's a lot of watching. Like you got stations that watch stations. Like, let me see what they plan. Let me see what they plan. Which is always want to know what your competition is doing. But if you're a station that can break records, it's gonna prevent you from being the trendsetter. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? You won't, like Billy was saying, you won't take a chance on a new artist because you either watching this or you I'm playing what he playing, or he said it's okay, so I'm gonna play it. It kind of it's sad that happens because a lot of artists don't get chances.
Right.
And then when you have artists with multiple songs off the same project that's rotating on a station, that eliminates a spot for someone who, can have a spot to get their record in there.
I'll tell you something that
crazy.
It messed me up a little bit because I just started playing this record not too long. This Tank record.
I was about to say that.
Oh yeah.
I was about to ask Naki if Tank is one of those
plants.
Nah,
he's not a plant. He's not. He's definitely not a plant. He paid his dues.
Yeah,
okay.
He's paid his
dues, I don't know. I never heard of him. I was just,
Oh no.
Tank's but what were you gonna say about it?
Years. But what I'm saying about this song is, how do you do a Maxwell song? Like, it's Maxwell, but he's changed the lyrics. He changed it, and it's like it's the same exact song. So anytime I was hearing it before I started playing, I go, "Wow, man, people are really liking that Maxwell. Like they're like really starting to play that Maxwell again." Because I'm hearing it off in the distance. I'm not like paying too much attention to it because it feels like
it's number one.
You just hear the music, the melody.
I'm playing it. I'm playing. It's a great song.
It's a dope song.
It's a great song, but then you go, well, the The friggin' Maxwell song was a great song.
But see, the thing is, it's not even a Maxwell record. It's actually a remake. Maxwell did a cover of that song on the MTV Unplugged. So it's actually a young lady's record. I forget her name. She's a pop artist or something, but it's her record. But Maxwell made it popular with the urban community,
right?
And Tank, he rebooted it. He did a Space Jam too.
It looks the same.
Space Jam reboot of a song, and it's not like he pulled the song out from like the 50s and redid it. It's like that song just came out not too I guess it might have came out. How long ago that song came out?
So it was I just looked up the original. Recorded 1988. It's British. Kate Bush.
Kate Bush, that's her name. Yep, that's her. Kate Bush, that's her record. Yep.
When did Maxwell do it?
Let's see. 2001.
2000. Somewhere like that. 2001.
2001. Recorded 2000, 2001.
So,
record, right?
You got the 20-year window. So is it okay to use it after 20 years?
Yes.
I think if it's good enough, because back in the 50s and 60s, you'll hear, I started looking up some of these years, and there's 3 versions of the same song.
Yeah, well,
it
would come out the exact same time. Like you'd have like Elvis Presley, a Carl Perkins, and all these
someone else will grab it
at same time
and do it immediately. Yeah. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, what I was always told, if something was a hit 20 years ago, it would be a hit today. So that's what I was told.
Okay, so let's say that's true. We might be onto something right now.
Oh yeah.
What if we put out California Love, a reboot of California Love, and you put 2 new artists on it? Would it still have the same effect that the original California Love had?
What about
if we use the California Raisins?
I was gonna say the newly formed Mount Westmore crew. What if they did a redo of California Love?
No, it's got to be brand new artists, right? It's got to be.
But do y'all think it's certain records that you can't touch, like that? That's like masterpieces that you shouldn't Space Jam to it?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
I think it's kind of one of those things where you sit back and you go, "Yeah, go ahead." You're expecting to see someone flat fall on their face, and without really telling them. But if they kill it, they're in.
So if you want to reboot California Love, it would definitely have to be a new artist from California. Right?
Yes.
That I don't know who's like.
I don't either.
Dominating or even a factor in the new generation that's from Cali besides Tyler. He's from California.
Let's take California Love off the table.
Okay.
Let's say
California Dreaming. I'm just kidding. Mama and Papa's.
How about
there's a beautiful house version of that song. It's been done. It's amazing.
I heard it.
Could somebody redo a Biggie record? Any Biggie record? Could someone redo it right now? Give it a new spin on it, and get away with it?
See, they kind of. I got you. I got you right here. I'm finna tell you right.
You want to jump back in?
A lot of Biggie.
We got to jump back.
We're about to. Yeah.
Let's
you want to jump in?
Yeah, let's jump back in.
All right, we got something going.
Okay.
Let me stop this.